Picture this. You're walking through a completely packed, wildly noisy ancient marketplace. You can literally smell the heavy spices in the air. You're hearing merchants shouting at the top of their lungs to sell their goods. You see hot-headed guys getting into arguments, lazy workers actively dodging their bosses, and just ordinary people trying to survive another day without completely wrecking their lives. And right in the middle of all this absolute chaos stands King Solomon on a wooden platform, shouting wisdom over the deafening noise. That is exactly what it feels like to read Proverbs chapter 20. It drops us right into the dirt and dust of humanity's rawest behaviors on full, unfiltered display. The core truth Solomon uncovers right out of the gate is fascinating. He isn't just standing there judging the crowd, he's watching humanity the way a highly skilled doctor studies symptoms. Nothing escapes him, not the subtle facial expressions, the hidden motives, or the shady financial manipulation. And he points out this undeniable reality. Humanity updates its tools, but keeps recycling its sin. Despite 3 millennia passing by, the human heart, it remains exactly the same. Think about it for a second. Modern technology really just gave ancient foolishness a Wi-Fi connection. The ancient drunkard making a complete fool of himself in the public square? Oh, he's still around, he just posts his angry rants online now. The ancient sluggard? He still absolutely avoids doing any actual labor, but today he just calls it waiting for motivation. Our modern habits are really just ancient sins wearing tailored suits and using spreadsheets. Actually, we haven't evolved past our folly at all. We just gave it a much better marketing team. Let's look right at Proverbs chapter 20, verse 1. It declares, "Wine is a mocker, strong drink a brawler, and whoever is led astray by it is not wise." The real issue here isn't merely the liquid in the cup. It's about mastery. Let's be honest, humanity can barely survive a single awkward social interaction without reaching for some kind of coping mechanism. We are constantly looking for alternate masters to enslave our minds. Now contrast this directly with Jesus Christ. He never lost self-control. He never once clouded his judgment. Even under betrayal and unimaginable agony, Christ remained perfectly sober-minded, governed by absolutely nothing but the Father's will. You know, the crazy thing is, we are often complete mysteries even to ourselves. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 5 reveals, "The purpose in a man's heart is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out." Our true motives? They're buried deep beneath the surface, hidden under layers of contradiction, fears, and selfish desires. But Jesus is the ultimate man of understanding. He perfectly sees, expertly diagnoses, and draws out the absolute truth hidden in our souls. He doesn't just listen to the words we say, he diagnoses the state of our souls. And look at how this plays out when we face temptation. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 17 gives this vivid warning. "Bread gained by deceit is sweet to a man, but afterward his mouth will be full of gravel." Rebellion always markets itself as sweet, doesn't it? It promises ultimate satisfaction right now, but ultimately it delivers absolute ruin. It overpromises and underdelivers every single time. But Jesus, the true bread of life, is completely different. He nourishes eternally and actually satisfies the deepest, truest cravings of our hearts. Which brings us to how we judge ourselves and the people around us. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 10 states, "Unequal weights and unequal measures are both alike in abomination to the Lord." Humanity constantly uses crooked moral scales. We are brilliant at minimizing our own sin while heavily magnifying everyone else's failures. But the Lord judges with perfect, uncorrupted righteousness. In him there is zero falsehood, no bribery, and absolutely no deception. Every single scale is perfectly balanced. This flawless justice makes our next verse breathtaking to consider. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 22 commands, "Do not say, 'I will repay evil.' Wait for the Lord, and he will deliver you." Human vengeance flows so naturally from our fallen pride. We desperately want courtroom authority over everyone who wrongs us. But Jesus, the perfectly righteous judge, did the unthinkable. At the cross, he absorbed evil rather than retaliating. The perfectly righteous judge endured total injustice to save the unjust. It is absolutely staggering to behold when you really think about it. So all of this forces us to pivot to a pretty terrifying question. Who can actually live like this? Seriously, who has perfectly controlled speech? Who has never, ever deceived? Who has completely mastered their anger? Asking this intentionally shatters the modern illusion of self-help. It totally exposes our complete and utter inability to flawlessly attain this ancient holy wisdom on our own strength. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 9 answers this by completely detonating human self-righteousness. It asks, "Who can say, 'I have made my heart pure. I am clean from my sin. The resounding, unarguable answer to that is absolutely nobody. Not kings, not ancient philosophers, not modern moral achievers, and definitely not religious performers. No one can cleanse themselves. And we see this exact same reality confirmed directly in Romans chapter 3, verse 10, which proclaims, "None is righteous, no, not one." Modern culture constantly reinvents self-salvation projects, whether that's through activism, New Age spirituality, or just careful image management. Humanity keeps desperately trying to wash internal corruption with external soap, and it never, ever works. But there is a beautiful, deeply comforting truth waiting for us here. Only the pure, cleansing blood of Christ can purify sinners, washing us completely clean with his perfect grace. And here is the incredibly joyful encouragement, where Proverbs asks, who can purify himself? The gospel steps right in and answers, Jesus can. Jesus did. He is the greater Solomon. He is the ultimate man of understanding who perfectly obeys wisdom on our behalf. He doesn't just stand high above us as some unreachable example. He descends right down into our mess to save foolish people exactly like us. We can see clearly how magnificently he accomplishes this. He is the pure-hearted man. He is the perfectly balanced scale. He is the perfectly controlled speaker. He is the completely faithful man who endures to the very end. Jesus embodies every single righteous ideal we see in Proverbs 20. Where Adam failed, where Israel stumbled, and where you and I failed daily, Jesus succeeds flawlessly. It's all part of a sovereign plan that is far beyond our human comprehension. Proverbs chapter 20 verse 24 states, "A man's steps are from the Lord. How then can man understand his way?" We can only marvel here at divine providence. Human rulers meant to destroy Jesus. They intended the crucifixion to be the ultimate humiliating defeat. Yet God used the greatest evil in human history as his sovereign means for the greatest redemption in history. Humanity meant crucifixion, God meant salvation. Let's just trace this breathtaking redemptive arc together. Through his perfect life, Christ obeys wisdom. Through his sacrificial death, he bears the full penalty for our foolishness. Through his glorious resurrection, he inaugurates a totally new creation. And through his Holy Spirit, he is actively transforming believers today. The gospel doesn't merely forgive fools, my friends. It actively, wonderfully makes them wise. So the absolutely crucial point to take away from all of this is that true wisdom is not some exhausting, self-powered behavior modification project. True wisdom is deep, daily communion with Jesus Christ. It is beholding him, reflecting his glorious character, and living truthfully under his gracious rule. So the ultimate question I have for you today is this. Are you still trying to manufacture your own wisdom, or are you ready to surrender to the only true king at the city gate? Now, please remember that this explainer is just a summary discussion of a much richer, much deeper topic. You can find the link to the fuller discussion right down in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me, and may you walk wisely in communion with the King today.